He's got more. And what he's realizing is, I like him.
Welcome to the regular town council meeting on August 5th. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Phillips.
Here.
Councilor Sims.
Present.
Councilor Willis.
Present.
Councilor Kush. Councilor Gagnon.
Present.
Councilor Lavoy.
Present.
Councilor Siegel.
Present.
Motion for the acceptance of the July 1st regular town council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or amendments? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas. All right, so I know we have a lot of people in attendance tonight, and just to make it a little bit more clear, for open public communications, this is for an item that is any items that are not on the agenda. So if you're here to speak about an agenda item, and I will remind the public that there is an agenda item later that does not have a public hearing on it, that I believe some people here are here to speak about, and we are going to stick to that agenda item specifically. So just to be clear, the agenda item later on, if you're, I've had questions about speaking about one of the items about a rezoning of a lot off Mosier Road. And if you're here to speak about the rezoning of the lot, we need to stick to that topic during that time. And I will allow a couple comments during that time, even though it is not advertised as a public hearing. But open public communications, if you have something else you'd like to discuss that is not on our agenda tonight, you can come up right now. I need you to state where your name and where you're from. And then we're going to be doing 3 minutes, just in the essence of time and the amount of people here to speak.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Netto. This is Ryan Netto, my husband. Good evening, and thank you for your time this evening. We've been here several times, and we're just here tonight to, I'm just going to read off what I have to keep it as brief and quick as possible for your sake as well. We're the owners of Skyfall Canopy. It's a family-owned small medical cannabis company that's been serving patients by appointment since 2012, 6 years of which has been from our Gorham location at 5 Little Wing in the industrial park. Over the past 6 years, our caregiver license has given us the ability to help our medical patients by appointment with whatever their needs may be from the location at 5 Little Wing in Gorham. Due to the updates proposed by the Office of Cannabis Policy on August 9th, 2024, now we are required to opt into retail with our local municipality to operate in the same way. So basically, to be able to continue to sell to our long-standing patients, which we have, we need to, at this point, receive authorization, and now they've changed and they've updated the regulations. So we're here to address that. We've been in communication with Tom. We've met with the meeting board, the planning board. We're a small family-owned business, husband and wife, owned and operated, and we've been compliant, meeting all of the regulations and the code enforcement regulations with good inspections, with no issues or concerns every year. And if we're unable to continue to sell directly to our patients, as we have been for the past 6 years, wholesale will become our only option. And unfortunately, wholesale is no longer a market due to the influx of THC and hemp drinks that are currently being sold from the Gorham gas stations and the breweries. So it's medical and rec that this is both going to affect. And we're here tonight because we're trying to follow all the rules and regulations and stay up to date on everything. But because of this issue and the update with OCP, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of cannabis companies that are going to be coming to the towns. So we're the first probably of many that may be coming here to present on this issue. We're here tonight because we'd like this to be put on the agenda as something to be addressed. Again, because it's going to be affecting not only us, but multiple businesses, and this could put us out of business, as well as other multiple businesses that could be put out of business, and affect also taxes for Gorham as well. So we're both from Northern Maine. We're parents. We have an 8-year-old son. I'm also a physical therapist. I've had my doctorate in physical therapy. I've been treating elderly patients for 15 years. We're good people. We're just trying to follow the rules and the regulations, stay up to date. Again, we care about child safety and, being respectful. We're not, trying to be like the Rastas and put stuff on the side of our building and be all crazy. We're just trying to be professionals and continue to be what we've been doing all along. So thank you for your time this
Thank you.
evening. Do you want it?
No comment at all?
Oh, yep, go ahead. What? No, actually, we just listened to your comments at this time. We can't really respond. This is just.
Okay.
Yep, we'll just take the information
Okay.
that you
Okay.
gave us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name's Charlie Hamblin, live on Hamblin Drive in Gorham. Not talking to you about the agenda item tonight, just talking about a meeting I went to in Alfred a couple weeks ago. But can I ask first, how many people are here related to the quarry item, like number 3 or 4 in the agenda? So pretty good turnout. People seem pretty interested in it. Oh, sorry. I'll talk later. A little bit more. So Alfred is a town, it's about a half an hour away. It's about 3,200 people. And recently, a company is trying to put a quarry in there. I think initially, when the quarry started moving forward, the town seemed to be sliding it in, trying to do a kind of pretty low level, not to get the people involved. And Ralph, correct me if I'm wrong, you can come up here and talk. But all of a sudden, the public found out about it and started showing up. So we went to the first public meeting of and it was so many people showed up that they actually moved the meeting 2 weeks later because it broke the fire code in the building. So then they moved it down to the York County courthouse and had probably 200 people or so show up for that. And it went on, I think, almost 3 or 4 hours. We only lasted for an hour and a half. But Gorham made the headlines. Well, they had 3 channels there, 6, 8, and 13 showed up and did coverage. And when we started showing pictures of Gorham Quarry, people in the crowd kind of gasped. They were really amazed because the quarry owners are saying that, nothing's happening. There's no impact on the quarry. We're good. I gotta turn that around. We're good neighbors, but as you can see from these pictures, there's a lot of impact on neighbors from the quarries. So I think what they ended up doing, if I understand it correctly, is they decided, well, we're not quite sure because the town doesn't have a lot of experience in quarries, so they decided to send it to an independent review. So it's kind of right in the middle. The quarry owners in the town want it. The citizens of the town don't want it. So if you hire somebody who's an expert at it, because who's an expert on quarries in this room? Some people are here, but not everybody. It's something that makes sense. So Gorham, I think, should consider doing the same thing. I mean, you've heard from us for two years almost at the impacts, and we'd like to see maybe somebody else come in and take a look at it and see who's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Robbins, and I live on Queen Street. I'm clearly saddened to have to stand up here again representing my family and the other families whose stories I've listened to as I walk and talk with the neighbors who are experiencing fatigue from dealing with this issue for so long, and they feel that their voices are not being heard about the quarry, and are not coming forward due to repercussion from the Shaw brothers. Nothing's changed since the last time we stood here to voice our concerns. Our group has asked the town council to be part of a conversation with the neighbors and the Shaw brothers, and this has not happened. Our group continues to ask for data to be collected so that we can make informed decisions regarding air quality, water quality, as well as what's happening to the foundation of our homes and our house values being depreciated, none of which is happening. Yes, the Shaw brothers are sending out a company to video our foundations. But to my understanding, the validity of these videos is only 6 months. And after that, it's also my understanding that no one has ever been able to satisfy the Shaw brothers that the damage that is occurring to their property was their responsibility, only hearing that the damage is naturally occurring settling of the foundation. So although this seems like a neighborly thing to do, no one's been able to benefit from this not effective to the homeowner's task. Shaw Brothers makes an enormous amount of money. Why aren't they just satisfied with the quarry that they manage? Why infringe on our residential rights as taxpayers of the town of Gorham and further damage the surrounding neighbor's property with their greed? We would just like to be able to live in our homes, be able to breathe healthy air, play outside and enjoy our homes without concern for damage to our lungs, our homes, our water sources, and declining property values. To this end, so that we do not have to continue to come back here every 6 months and state our concerns, and those of our neighbors that are fearful of coming here in person. No one should have to live in unhealthy conditions. The citizens of Gorham, the citizens of the town of Gorham deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to remind everyone when you come up and talk that they're to keep it very distinguished from the item that's later on the agenda, please.
Excuse me, is the item on the agenda has to do with the change from residential to industrial as well? We'll
Correct. Yes, correct.
Madam Chair, we're not taking any kind of comments or questions from the audience.
I just want to make it clear, so if somebody's unclear.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna Meister, and I live at 71 Queen Street. I'm going to be talking about quarry regulation, so a little bit related, but not the zoning change. So I am a part of the Gorham Community Alliance Quarry Impact on Health and Safety Group. This is our second year working as a group to raise awareness about the need for quarry regulations. I've been up here sharing my personal reasons for being a part of this movement. Environmental and natural resource protection is very important to me, but I've also shared I have 2 young kids, and just seeing them playing outside and smelling the asphalt, seeing the dust, cleaning up the dust in their bedroom it's heartbreaking to me. That really, I know a lot of you have kids, and to see that and just know that that's going into their lungs is really hard for me as a parent. We can't just pick up and move. So that's the personal part. I'm talking about regulations tonight. So quarry regulations are essential for minimizing harm to the environment and nearby communities and for promoting sustainable practices for the future. Regulations strike a balance between the economic benefits of quarrying and the need to protect the health and safety of the community. Gorham's current land use and development code, so I'm referring to Chapter 2, the general standards and performances, reference a few things that I don't think are being met. I'll just go through 2 phrases that I kind of saw when I was going through that. So there's something in there that says the operating practices of pits should prevent surface or groundwater pollution and minimize noise, dust, air contaminants, and vibration. In addition, these regulations are intended to protect the quality and quantity of ground and surface waters, control erosion, provide for the reclamation and rehabilitation of new and existing pits for future uses compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, and to minimize any adverse impact of such pit operations on adjacent and nearby properties. I don't believe that's happening, and we live less than 0.5 miles away, and from our personal experience and the people we've talked to, I don't think that that's being met. The quarry owners have invited you to take a walk around their property. That's wonderful. Why don't you take a walk around any of our properties, clean up the dust, come see the blast. Clean out the pool filters, come in my kid's bedroom, clean up their, take a field trip and do that too. So I'm going to pass this over to my sister because I also want to talk about some action steps. I'm not up here to be complaining and be whiners. There are things that we can do for regulations. So.
If you could also, even though it's somebody else speaking, if you could tell us where you're from and where you live.
Absolutely.
Your name, please.
My name is Camille Sayo. I also live at 71 Queen Street in Gorham, Maine, so with my sister and my mom who have also spoken. So to continue Brianna's prepared speech, because she is very eloquent, she would like to convey that if the Shaw Brothers would truly like to be good neighbors, we would like to work together. Here are some solutions and actions that we can all work together on. Number 1, town officials, quarry owners, and neighbors should gather information, research, and data detailing the impact of quarry and asphalt plants on neighboring undeveloped and residential properties. Number 2, the town should hire an independent quarry expert to review existing quarry regulations and ensure that they comply with current health and safety standards and are appropriate for the quarry size and location. Number 3, institute real-time monitoring of PM 2.5 airborne particles, which should occur at pit's edge and should be monitored daily by town code enforcement. Number 4, review the current blasting velocity at the pit. The allowable PPV should be below 1. This would involve a trade-off, more days of blasting at lower velocity impacting fewer neighbors and reducing impact for all neighbors. Number 5, hire outside experts to perform an environmental impact study of the area. How are local threatened wildlife populations impacted? Is water quality a concern, and are wells being impacted? And number 6, the real estate valuations of all abutters within a 1-mile radius of the quarry should be reviewed. Written guidelines exist regarding reduced valuations of homes near a quarry. Do you want me to keep reading? Okay, I've got time. Why are you considering expanding the quarry without having a community conversation and work on the above? When you are voting tonight, I encourage you all to continue to think progressively and with the bigger picture of the community in mind, and not simply just push this off to the planning board. Earlier this year, the planning board was asked to gather information on how many people would be impacted by the quarry expansion.
Excuse
I don't
me,
recall.
That's a separate item? We're not.
Would that be,
that's-
and we're not allowed to comment on that agenda item?
We're not talking about that right now. This is only open public communication for items not on the agenda.
Susie, will there be an opportunity for community members to comment on the agenda item?
On the agenda item, the zone change.
Okay, I thought Phil said that there weren't going to be open communication for that agenda item.
I am going
Did I
to allow
misunderstand?
it for the zone change.
Okay,
Just
thank
the
you so
zone
much.
change. Yep. Anyone else? All right. See, oh. Yep.
I'm John Stewart. I live at 134 Mosier Road, about 1.25 miles or thereabouts from the pit. We have noticed a tremendous amount of dust, and we get all kinds of smells coming our way that are unhealthy and probably have lots of VOCs, but we don't know what those are because the council's job and the people they hire are supposed to be monitoring those, and they don't. That's what we need, is increased monitoring. The council's, one of the driving forces in the council is the well-being and the health of its citizens. And if they're not doing their job completely, then they're failing us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no one else, get up for open public communication. We'll move on to councilor communications. And I'm going to start on my left with Councilor Gagnon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess it's a little early to say, but school starts pretty soon at the end of the month, so I would remind everybody to drive safely in that time period. I'd also like to commend the Gorham Little League for their very strong run that they had, including my son, who happened to be on that team. And I'd also like to allow the public to know that we have a workshop next week with the school board in regards to potential referendum items. Thank you.
Councilor Willis.
Just a heartfelt thank you to Public Works for their work on the tennis courts to get those back up and running for the school year this year. As somebody who spent a lot of time on those tennis courts growing up, I'm excited to see them back active for this season.
Thank you. Counselor LaVoy?
Nothing to report.
Counselor Sims?
Nothing to report.
Counselor Siegel?
I would just like to put forward a public congratulations to one of the landowners on Main Street at about 220, who took on a Herculean task buying a very difficult lot and has been slowly but surely fixing it up. And seeing it, with some fresh paint on it is really great. So thank you from, me to you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to ask go first because you always take my items. The only two items I had this evening was I also would like to thank Public Works for their hard work in taking a larger, more expensive and controversial project and coming up with a common sense solution for the tennis courts. They managed that throughout the summer. They worked with some local companies and they did it for a fraction of the cost and came up with a 5 to 10 year fix for the town. So I want to commend them on that, as well as some of the other projects they're working on, and also echo that next Tuesday at 6:30 in Conference Room A, the council has a joint workshop with the school committee to, again, hopefully look at some of these projects and come up with some common sense solutions on how we might address them. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Gagnon?
I also forgot my daughter, who was on the softball team that went to regionals and was one game away from winning it all. So, sorry, Reagan.
All right, we don't have a school committee report tonight because they're still on vacation. So we'll go to the first public hearing.
Public hearing number 1 on item 2025-82. Public hearing to hear comment on a proposal to amend the Land Use and Development Code, Chapter 2, Section 215, Home Occupation Standards, to revise front setbacks for roadside stands. Administrative sponsor.
All right, public hearing number 1 is now open. Anyone who wishes to speak on this item, please come to the podium.
Mark Curtis, 258 Narragansett. Just want to pop up and say thank you for bringing the item forward. It's something that we noticed in the code was inhibiting some of the places to be able to do it, and I think the planning department and the staff came up with a good solution, so I support it 100%. Thank you.
All right, seeing no one else jumping up, we'll close the public hearing.
Proposed Order 2581, ordered that the Town Council amend the Land Use and Development Code, Chapter 2, Section 215, Home Occupation Standards, to revise front setbacks for roadside stands as follows. Section 215, Home Occupation Standards, the following uses shall be allowed as home occupations as defined in Chapter 1, Section 1 through 5. Roadside stands. In addition to the home occupation standards listed above, the home occupation uses listed below shall meet the following requirements. Roadside stands. In zoning districts that have a greater than 25-foot setback, the roadside stands only need to meet a 25-foot setback. In these circumstances, the structure shall only be allowed to the minimum size necessary for a roadside stand use. The roadside stand must meet the character of the neighborhood both in size, layout, and building design. 2, should the roadside stand use cease operation for more than a year and is utilizing the reduced front setback, the roadside stand structure will be required to be relocated to meet the front setback as outlined in the zoning district which the lot is located.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Sims. Is there a second?
So moved.
Second by Councilor LaVoy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a very simple change, but it essentially allows for a 25-foot standard setback for roadside stands throughout the town. If it reverts back to its, if the stand's no longer used after a year, it reverts back to its normal zoning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council discussion? All right, I think we've seen this enough, so all those in favor? 6 yeas.
Public hearing number 2 on item 2025-8-3. Public hearing to hear comment on a proposal to adopt pursuant to 30A MRS 3004 and Section 203 of the Charter of the Town of Gorham, the ordinances of the Town of Gorham of a general and permanent nature adopted by the Town Council of the Town of Gorham, as revised and codified and consisting of Chapters 1 through 305, are hereby approved, adopted, ordained, and enacted as the Code of the Town of Gorham, hereinafter referred to as the Code. The provisions of the Code, insofar as they are substantively the same as those of the ordinances in force immediately prior to the enactment of the code by the ordinance, are intended as the continuation of such ordinances and not as new enactments. Administrative sponsor.
All right, public hearing number 2 is now open. Anyone who wants to speak on this item, please come to the podium. All right, seeing no one, the public hearing's closed.
Proposed Order 2582, ordered that the Town Council adopt pursuant to 30 AMRS 3004 and Section 203 of the Charter of the Town of Gorham, the ordinances of the Town of Gorham of a general and permanent nature adopted by the Town Council of the Town of Gorham, as revised and codified and consisting of Chapters 1 through 305, are hereby approved, adopted, ordained, and enacted as the Code of the Town of Gorham, hereinafter referred to as the Code. The provisions of the Code, insofar as they are substantively the same as those of the ordinances in force immediately prior to the enactment of the Code by this ordinance, are intended as a continuation of such ordinances and not as new enactments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Siegel. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Sims.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You may all find this hard to believe, but an attorney wrote that, and no offense to any attorneys here. Essentially what it says is, because we're doing an online format and reorganizing all the town's ordinances, bringing it to a digital format, we're not changing anything, and it may just be renumbered and restructured, but it's the same content.
Okay. Any questions? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas.
Item 2025-8-4, action to consider endorsing a charitable gambling application for the Reed Allen Community Fund Casino Night, administrator sponsored. Proposed Order 2583, ordered that the Town Council approves a charitable gambling application for the Reed Allen Community Fund Casino Night on November 1st, 2025 at Junction Bowl.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Willis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Essentially, this is approval for a state application for the casino night. It's a great nonprofit effort hosted in town, and I'm guessing the council's 100% behind it for all the work they do, and I know there's somebody here that can answer any questions if you have them.
So I was just going to ask if Mark Curtis would like to come up and give a little plug for the casino night.
I would. Mark Curtis, at this time, president of the Reed Allen Community Fund. I was mentioning to Cindy, I have a new goal in life now. I'm going to try to get every item on the council agenda to be related to something I'm doing. So I'm well on my way. Reed Allen Community Fund is a nonprofit that exists in Gorham, started by Angelo Soteropoulos, obvious hometown hero here, and got a great board. We put this event together every year. I know some of the councils have been. This is your official invite, and everybody in the crowd is officially invited. It's November 2nd at Junction Bowl. The state changed their laws. They require this municipal approval, which I think is great because it gives me an opportunity to promote it right here, and thank you very much for that, Ephraim. But it's a great event, and all the money that we raise is basically our mission is to help anybody or any mostly business, but we have a mission that is basically if you're Gorham related in some way, shape, or form, and you have some sort of catastrophic event, and we hear about it, we want to see an application, we want to try to help. So that's where the money goes. 100% of the money we take in goes out that way. There isn't a single penny that gets spent on anything else. So that's always the plan. We appreciate all the support.
Thank you. Councilor Gagnon?
It says November 1st on the...
It's the Saturday night, so I may have the date wrong. So is it November 1st or November 2nd? We should make sure we get that right.
November 1st is the Saturday.
Okay, so I'm thinking back to last year's event, which was November 2nd. So thank you for correcting that. November 1st, in case anybody was putting it on their calendar right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas.
Item 2025-8-5, action to consider allocating interest from the revolving loan fund, Councilor Lavoie sponsored. Proposed Order 2584, order that the Town Council authorizes the treasurer to permanently allocate interest from the revolving loan fund back to the fund for future use.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Willis. Councilor Lavoie? Or Town Manager?
Hand it
Okay.
off to the Town Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the revolving loan fund is a fund that was set up probably about 18, 20 years ago now, where the town took TIF funds and put it into an account and offers low interest loans for businesses for projects. Over the years, the balance has gone up and down, but the interest has not gone back into the account. So I think what this order does, or has been suggested, which I fully support, is putting that interest back in there to help sustain that account, which has been as high as $1 million and I think it's probably about $500,000 right now, give or take. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yep.
Thank you, Chair. You're saying permanently here, so this means all future interest into this fund would stop going into the general fund and would start just going into the revolving loan fund?
Correct, and the thought process would be, hopefully it could be self-sustaining at some point. The town may have to put TIF funds into it in the future, but right now, just keep it going with interest.
And do we have an upper limit for the fund currently?
There's, the limit was set because the credit enhancement agreement, or the TIF was capped at 15 years, so it stopped funding. But the council at a later date, if it got too high, you could cap it by all means. I don't envision that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, because we also, I believe, have seen no defaults with this loan fund at all.
No, it's actually been very, very successful.
Yeah.
It's run through a committee with the help with a lot of GDC members, and we really try to promote it. And it's an option for businesses that may just have a special project or a piece of equipment they're working on and don't want to go through traditional loan ventures.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas.
Item 2025, 8-6, action to consider a zoning map change for a portion of map 34, lot 14, from urban residential expansion to industrial. Councilor Willis sponsored. Proposed order 2585, order that the town council forwards to the planning board for public hearing and recommendation, changing a portion of map 34, lot 14, from the urban residential expansion district to the industrial district as depicted as, and be it further ordered that town staff are instructed to coordinate a site walk for the town council to view the area of the proposed zoning change and adjoining parcel before the item returns to the public hearing and town council vote.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Councilor Gagnon. All right, Councilor Willis?
I know this is a controversial topic, and we've got a full room, so we'll hear from you guys shortly. I was actually approached initially by a citizen within the town of Gorham asking me to consider bringing this forward and have a discussion. I've had a number of discussions with the Shaw family and some of the Shaw employees. They've been kind enough to offer to have us come over. I will also mention, I'll throw this to the town manager if he wouldn't mind speaking on it. The town has been there recently within the last week. Code enforcement officer went, the town engineer went, community development director went, as well as the manager, and did look into a number of the original ordinances that were put into place. So I'll let him speak more to that and then cede my time to anybody from Shaw Brothers who would like to speak.
Thank you. Does the applicant want to speak at this time?
Thank you. My name is Dan Shaw, owner of Shaw Brothers. We really do try to be good neighbors. What we're asking to do here is to expand, which is the compromise expansion. It's around 6.5 acres. It would give us about 12 years of life to the quarry. And the only difference is going to be that it will be 12 years longer that we can haul from on-site before we start going to another quarry in Gorham and hauling it on road. So our 250-ton trucks will be replaced with 10 tri-axle dump trucks going up and down the road. We are allowed to have dust. We are way below our limits. And when we have a blast, we're allowed 5 minutes. It goes up in the air. If the wind's not blowing, it comes back down. If the wind's blowing, it leaves the site. We've never approached our limits. We've never been within half of our vibration. And our noise is well under day and night. And I would like to remind everybody here that we are industrial zoned. And this has been industrial for years and years. And when it was LaChance Brick, regulations were much different then, but they burned Bunker 6, which was really smelly, and the people that lived there then can remember it. They dealt with clays, so they would rototill clay every day, and the dust used to blow across 237, and I know because I used to work there. We hauled the clay into them. It is industrial, and I'm sorry. We need pavement, we need schools, we need hospitals. You can't just say no more quarries in Maine. You know, I mean, it's ludicrous. And what typically, if we have a neighbor at one of our 16 PISA has a problem, they call us. For some reason, this one, they don't. We've talked to Mr. Sanderson, and we've worked with him. As far as the rest of the neighbors, we have to see it on TV or read it on the internet. So it makes it very hard to work together when, you know, so, but we do try, we really do. We're clean, we're neat, you guys can see it. If people drive by it. So if there's something more that we can do, we will do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the council prefer to hear from the public on the zone change before discussion, or?
I prefer to hear from folks
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Just asking, just how we want to do this. So we will allow public comment on the zone change. We're not going to get into quarry regulations or anything about the existing quarry. I prefer to stick to just this parcel, and just to remind people, the order does say that it's going to go to the planning board for a public hearing, and then we are going to do a site walk that the public's welcome to come to because it's open. And there'll be a public hearing back at the town council level before a vote if this does proceed tonight. So this is just a motion to start the discussion to send to the planning board. This is not voting for any final vote on this parcel tonight. So just to remind people of that. And please stick on topic of the zone change only, please. So if anyone would like to come up and speak, we're going to do, again, 3 minutes, because I know there's a lot people want to say. So just keep an eye on the timer. Got it? You're doing 3 minutes? Okay. Yeah. And just a reminder to let us know who you are and where you're from, where you live in Gorham.
Can everyone see that?
Madam Chair, what does the
Okay, all right, let me just,
Yeah, you know how to fix this. Hold on 1 second before you start.
Madam Chair, could you remind applicants what the yellow light means and what the red light means?
Yes, I mean, obviously it goes green as you can talk, yellow is you're getting to the end time.
Well, but-
And when it's red, it means you can't, you're done talking. So I just don't want to have to remind people, but.
Right there.
Thank you, Councilor Siegel.
okay. Everyone see that? All right, I'm gonna flip this one. Whoops, Jay, can you help out? All right. Is that good right there?
Don't get it.
So I know you're putting up these pictures, but just a reminder that we're not going to be talking about the current quarry regulations.
I'm going to
Okay.
actually,
Yep.
if I may, I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm going to actually speak to Mr. Dan Shaw's comments.
We're not, well, you're supposed to be speaking to the council, actually. You're only supposed to
No, I
speak to the
understand.
council on the item
That-
and not back and forth between the public.
No, he brought up some points to you and that about.
He's the applicant. He's the applicant.
I
Okay.
understand, and I'm just going to mention a couple of things that he spoke to you about, if that's okay. And it has to do with, I'm here to talk, well, first of all, let me introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
My name is A.J. Hungerford. I'm an attorney licensed in Maine and Massachusetts, and I represent John Wise here. John lives at 287 Mosher Road, right at the corner of Queen Street and Mosher Road. Okay, and as I understand it, today we're here to speak about to consider the zoning map change from urban residential expansion to industrial. Is that fair to say? Okay, and I just want to bring up a couple of points. I'm not going to belabor anything here. But one of the things is it's residential right now and it's industrial. I think Mr. Shaw mentioned, he said it's been industrial for a long time, okay? Now, it's funny, I was driving up here with Jay, and we're like a mile away, and he's telling me about his dog Lola, and he said at 5:30 in the morning, he could hear the trucks clanging and the beeps and everything. And I think Mr. Shaw mentioned that they take a lot of, precautions to keep everything quiet. So maybe that would be like a request to try and keep things quiet. Now, these photos right here, one is taken on July 11th, one is taken on July 21st of this year. And he talked about Mr. Shaw talked about the particulates. And, this is coming from an industrial zone and it's going to a residential zone. Now, these particulates, I think to quote him, he said, dust leaves the site, and he's correct. This dust does leave the site. It ends up on the neighbors' yards. It ends up on Jay's yard. Jay has horses, he has dogs, he has all sorts of animals and livestock right across. So that's where it ends up, right? And I think one of the things is that they're below the state mandates, right? Well, when you're considering this to be changed to an industrial, this is a residential town. It's primarily gone towards residential. What happened years ago is true. When the brick kiln was there, things were a lot more loosey-goosey. But now you have this beautiful residential town where you want to preserve that residential nature. And so we're saying, another point I think he made was that Maine doesn't want quarries. There's plenty of room in Maine. Just take the quarry up north where you're going to do the heavy blasting and things, right? You can take it up north, but not in this beautiful residential town. So when you consider this request to go to industrial, I would suggest, and I'm speaking for Mr. Wise, and I've spoken to some of these people here, not to forward this and to deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Charlie Hamlin, Hamlin Drive again. Just as a context, this picture is taken over by my house off of Queen Street heading towards 202. This picture is taking off Dolph Road. If you look at that, what is that, 3/4 mile, a mile? So you're seeing dust removed from the quarry and blowing over any residential area, anywhere in between. At some point, if it expands, it's gonna blow over Little River. It's gonna go into Houston Road and all over there. It goes a lot further than you think. So what kind of people are Gorham residents? What do we want to be in 26 and beyond? The 2016 comprehensive plan states our vision of Gorham is a neighborly community, the most desirable place in Maine to live, raise a family, or build a business in a healthy, robust, and aesthetically pleasing environment. The comprehensive plan has no mention of quarries, and mineral extraction is mentioned once. Why does Gorham, with outdated quarry ordinances and no monitoring of quarry impacts, have 2 quarries? Who wants to move next to a quarry? For the last 2 years, our group has spoken regarding adverse impact from the Brickyard Quarry. The town and the Brickyard Quarry have received complaints regarding damage to property, noise, pollution, dust, and odor, but these complaints are not tracked or investigated, and residents have given up. No town employee has addressed concerns from our group. The town council denied a contract zone request to extend the quarry in February. How can the town council support a zoning change 6 months later after it was denied, when the quarry issues have not been addressed? How can this be? How can the town council ignore the safety and health of town residents by allowing an expansion of a quarry contrary to the comprehensive plan? Is this legal? Why do you have a comprehensive plan if you choose to ignore it at the whim of a special interest? When the planning board approved the 150-foot quarry expansion, they completely ignored residents' complaints. Would that change on the second time around? The 150-foot expansion removed a huge swath of trees which blocked dust from the neighbors, allowing the spread of dust to an expanded area. Additional quarry expansion will impact hundreds more homes with dust, blast vibrations, asphalt smells, etc. Is this a healthy, robust, and aesthetically pleasing environment that we have in a comprehensive plan. Please do not sentence more residents to the safety and health risk of the quarry. Let the comprehensive plan guide you. Do not move this to the planning board. Kill it here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Once we close this public hearing or this part of the public comment, there won't be any more comments from the public.
Hello, my name is Neil Hickey. I live at 121 Cressy Road. I live near another quarry in town. Just wanted to share some of my experience regarding the quarry.
Actually, sir, sorry, we're not talking, we're just talking about this specific expansion.
Yeah.
So that would have been better at public comment at the beginning of the meeting?
Well, I don't want to talk about that quarry. I just mostly, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, we're just talking about this item specifically, about this
Yep.
piece of land.
Yep.
So we're not opening up to comments about other items or other things.
I will, yep.
So just as long as you're talking about this specific piece.
And my concern lies just with oversight of quarries in the town, because it's not specifically done by anybody, in my experience. They talk about being below noise and dust control or levels here, but there's no way to measure that, and there's nobody in this town that can measure that. So I would just ask that the town council consider that the quarries are running in this town, and if you try to get help or answer questions, the Maine DEP defers to the town ordinances, and then the town defers to the Maine DEP. So it's a lot of back and forth in my experience. So I won't harp on my experience with other quarries, just that the oversight is still something I wish the town council would consider. Who is going to, as the quarries keep growing, who's going to look into them, who's going to monitor them, making sure that the dust control is within limits, as Mr. Shaw indicated, and that the noise is within the limits that they indicate, because I've asked that question and been given no good answer, because there's no tools that the town has to do that. So oversight, that's about it. If I've ever had issues regarding any cracks and drywall foundations, it's just there's nobody here that's able to answer for you. If you go to the blasting companies, they pretty much defer blame. So, and by say they 100% do it. So that's just something I wanted to come here and work up the nerve to get in front of you all today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Hannah Hamblin, speaking on behalf of my mom, Deidre Hamblin. So just a couple of quick things on this. Obviously, I am against the changing of the zoning. A couple of things I wanted to address is, number one, you guys have probably all seen the wildfire smoke warnings. We're being advised to stay inside. If you are a child, if you are elderly, or if you have any health conditions, the air is dangerous for you right now. The primary pollutant in wildfire smoke is PM 2.5, which is a hazardous pollutant, not because of what it contains, but because of its size. It is small enough to get into your lungs and your bloodstream and cause a lot of health problems. That is literally what we are concerned about in the quarry dust. The larger the quarry is, the more PM 2.5 spreads over the community. Happy to work with the quarry to address that, but expanding a quarry when that has not been addressed seems pretty irresponsible. Second, we are calling the quarry. I have records of us reaching out to the quarry, Danny specifically. Actually, the current barrier to us meeting with Danny, the town councilors, is the town. We've been asking for a town employee to attend this meeting, and no one has volunteered. So we are not actually refusing to reach out and communicate. I am trying. So if somebody in the town would be willing to get together so we can all sit down in a neutral environment and have a civil conversation, we are open to doing that. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Mark Curtis, just trying to keep my streak going. So I've been intimately involved in mineral extraction for over 30 years. The standards that exist have evolved over that time. There's dust, there's noise, but a responsible mineral extraction operator can meet those standards. There are absolutely tests that occur from MSHA when they visit our operations. They test our individual coworkers who work in the operation every day, and that would be the canary in the coal mine, as they say, right? If that test couldn't pass, then we might have a problem. I won't speak. I have no idea about Shaw Brothers' operation when it comes to that. I do know the operation that I'm involved in. We've never failed one of those tests. We've never had one of our coworkers come down with an ailment that's related to dust. Although I understand when you do the internet search, you come up with that kind of thing, it's just not a real world situation that comes about. So I just wanted to point that out. In the end, what this comes down to is a zone change, whether or not it's appropriate to change the zone to allow the natural resource that exists on this property to continue to be mined. Yeah, sure, you can go somewhere up north and buy a piece of property. The rock's probably not as good. Nobody wants it up there. So you'd have to truck it down here to make it viable. We all know what the trucks do to the road. The idea is to have the resource available as close to the need as possible. In our business, we do that every day. I can't tell you the number of times that we're constantly talking about where we have material and where it's needed. And one of the easiest ways to be good, and I hope this isn't a trade secret, but one of the easiest ways to be good at this business is to use material from one site on the next site if you need it. Because you want to minimize trucking, you don't want to haul sailboat fuel, as we call it. So trucking at long distances is a waste of time. Everything we do requires aggregate. Everything we do, from the tennis court that you guys were all congratulating everybody on, to the roads, the bridges, the houses. I mean, I could do the math for you and tell you exactly how much every house in this town took. We all want good roads. We need it where we have it. One of the reasons that the paving costs what it costs locally, and we've seen the advantage to having a hot top plant in town, is because there's one right here. In the end, this town is blessed to have Danny and Johnny as people that live in this town and giving back. Now, again, that doesn't entitle them to any special privileges or anything like that, but I will tell you that if you look around some of the places that we've all been to and come from, there's a lot of things that happen in a town like this because people do give back, and I think that is an important piece of what happens here. So just as a community member, I would encourage you to take the opportunity to listen to what makes sense on changing this zone so that the material can be mined where it is without creating a new mine somewhere else when it's all set up right here. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Sean Moody. And a lot of familiar faces, an old classmate here, and a lot of friends, customers, and good Gorham people. So, and I'm going to lay this pretty squarely on the town and the planning department because the first round got it wrong. I'm not a contract zone guy. It's spot zone and it's divisive. And if you're around that area that gets plunked right there, we're going to do this right in your backyard, I would be offended too. I'm not a contract zone guy, and that's basically what it is in disguise. So the fact that they've come in with a new proposal to expand the existing zone at about a quarter of what the original proposal was, to me that sounds like a really good faith effort to work with the neighbors and say, okay, we're going 20 acres, we're scaling it back to 6. We're going to keep it on this side of the river. The brook is what I understand. I heard Ms. Hamblin say, hey, we want to meet. That takes leadership. Leadership to get people together to collaborate and come up with a good quality outcome, a good quality project. We all live together. I don't like this division, this back and forth. It's not good. It's not healthy. Gorham's better than that. We're all better than that. And I'll remind you, back in 1978, okay, the town shut us down. I was an 18-year-old kid. I didn't know any better. The council said, oh, rezone the area, Sean, rezone the area to stay in business. Okay. Wow, what a firestorm that set off. I didn't know any better, but it was the same thing back then. And then when it came right down to it, Mark Easton, the principal of the high school, the Gorham police chief, Hans Hansen, And Bill Rust cast the deciding vote 4-3 in the planning board, 11 o'clock at night with a packed house, bigger than this one, to allow us to stay in business. Now, I don't know, but that was a long time ago, and I think it kind of changed the course and probably hopefully helped the town. It certainly helped a lot. I know what we've done. We've got 280 co-worker owners in our company now that collectively own $40 million in the retirement trust. And our first co-worker just crested the $1 million mark when they retire. Employee ownership is powerful. And that fate could have been decided that hot summer night in 1978. They're good people, they're good operators, they have the latest equipment, and they're regulated by the Department of Environmental Protection, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the Environmental Protection Agency. And believe me, they don't inspect stuff from a mile, half mile away. They're in their pit, close up and personal, and they're looking out for every coworker they have drives into that site and works every day. They deserve that protection from these agencies, and they're going to get it. Thank you very much. Let's get it right.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a last statement that I don't like the division either, but I'll tell you a quick personal story. When we called Danny Shaw, I think I actually called or my mom called. Danny came right over and asked to speak with my dad because apparently you can't talk to us females about.
Excuse me.
Anyway,
I need you to keep this on topic of the zone change.
So my
discussions.
topic is that what would make us all feel reassured if you really do want the expansion is to consider some of these regulations, to sit down with us, and then we'll be open. You know, it's not an either way. It's not no expansion or an expansion. It's sit down with us, have a conversation. At some point, there's been conversation that the quarry now would last 50 or maybe 70 years, how it is now. Why we were here last year in January, this got denied. Why are we back up here 6 months later? Like, let's have a conversation. I can be stubborn, I know, and you know, but that's I think all of us have perspectives, but we can sit down and let's do that first. Why this big rush? You know, we're definitely willing to sit down. I have a job where I have to collaborate every day, and that's really important to me. So I think that's all we're asking before we rush and move forward. No one's denying the importance of quarries or the materials needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I think we all know each other, but I'm Lee Pratt, 16 Elliott Road, also an employee at Shaw Brothers Construction. I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but I did want to address the elephant in the room about meeting. On May 28th, we received an email saying people wanted to meet. We responded on the 29th saying, great, name and time and a place. On August 1st, we got the response back from that email. You were all copied on it. We replied back yesterday, I believe it was, saying, still looking forward to a meeting. We are more than happy to meet with everybody. But 2 months in between an email on communication is disheartening. Happy to have a meeting, happy to talk, but going 2 months in between emails just, we need to communicate better. If the town wants to set up a meeting, we're happy to sit down and talk. So please don't think we're slowing that process down by any means. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no one else, the council's now going to discuss. I think we're going to discuss. Anyone have any comments? Let's do it first. Go ahead.
Sure, I'll make some comments. I'm willing to support moving this forward tonight to further this conversation that has been happening. You know, I think that the town decided 15, 20 years ago that this was an acceptable place to put these operations. So I think it is the town's responsibility now to deal with the consequences of that. And I think we need to provide leadership and be an arbiter here to improve negotiations between the landowners and the abutting residents. I just read a book called Arbitrary Lines. Zoning isn't a particularly good tool for separating land uses, particularly noxious ones, because you just draw the line and then say, okay, now we can do it. I do think that we need to be looking at our ordinances that we have to more adequately address some of the concerns. I think some of these landowners have identified some specific concerns they want us to look at, and I think we need to look at those. So, like I said, I'm willing to move this forward. There is no reason to rush this, and I think we need to get it right. So we can talk more about what that looks like. I'm willing to move it forward. Certainly want to try to work with the business owners as well as the residents. I mean, like I said, this is a very challenging situation, and the town created the challenge because we allowed it to happen. So we have to deal with it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Gagnon?
Sure. Only because you're asking for comments here, I guess. So, Madam Chair, I've been doing this long enough that I remember when we received emails in regards to Verizon Spectrum 5G and how there was an allowable cancer rate for the technology. The wireless spectrum that goes through the air to your phones creates a cancer in a segment of the community. We had several people come out and say, do not allow this technology. Do not subject me to that technology. I live in North Gorham, away from it on purpose. I don't own a cell phone. We did allow the 5G spectrum to continue because I'm not a doctor, and there was an issue there. I think here with state regulations on dust and allowable particulate matter within that, I don't think the state would subject people, hopefully, to a particular matter percentage that would be detrimental to one's health. And I say this as somebody that lived next to Sappi and was doused with fogs from their smokestacks as a kid, and most of my family worked for. I look at this ask now, and the brickyard that was there before was transitioned into an open quarry with similar dusts and noises that were there before. The site that we're changing back to industrial was industrial not too long ago and was switched to its current zoning. I try to remain as consistent as I can while on the council, and everybody will know the first year on this council in this term, I didn't vote for a single zoning change on any of the maps. This one particular one, I think, is an oversight on the change, and we're rectifying that oversight to allow for what I think is a de minimis expansion in an overall site. In an effort to be business friendly and be perceived as business friendly, I have looked at zoning changes to meet the needs of people developing those areas, particularly contract zones in South Gorham. In this agenda, we have a rescindance of a contract zone that I did approve many years ago, and then an additional contract zone that we would be making a change for. And I have since said that I think that we have to look holistically at our zoning process and what we're doing. Now here, the slight expansion, I think, does make some sense. It's not the entirety of the property and allows the conversation to continue, in my perspective. I would also say, Madam Chair, a lot of things have been said in regards to trying to make this happen. Some things that have been said on some parties do make me uncomfortable, particularly in relation to when we start making incendiary comments, and I do ask or look for people to, look holistically to problem solve this. Do I feel that we could make some constructive changes to this quarry or quarry regulations? Absolutely, I do. Has the medium been presented to me in a manner that isn't difficult? No. And it's something that I've wanted to deal with, and I feel that is necessary to deal with at some point. But I think we need to do it in a manner that isn't just targeted to one section of one business in town. Because when we start looking at individual or specific businesses, it no longer is good governance, it's targeting. And so when I look at these things holistically, as I've said to the council many times over the years, we're slow moving, we're methodical. I think we have some good people and some good minds on this council to problem solve. But it can't be that we're holding things up to make those decisions. And so I will be supporting moving this forward. I will be watching the planning board. I'll be watching this particularly in the sense that if there's anything material that's changed in this that would affect my ultimate decision. And really this decision right now is to move it to another governing body to make those determinations if there's something else that may or may not qualify. But again, this site was already industrial. It was only recently moved to the zoning that's there now. And it may have been to the owner that owned it to develop it into residential, much like the contract zones that are later on in this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, please
Yeah, no
stop.
comments from the,
Thank
no
you.
comments from the audience. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Were you, was it you?
I was just a clarifying
Yes.
point on the process. Whatever, if it does get voted to move forward tonight, it goes to the planning board for a public hearing. After the planning board does their piece, it will come back here again for an official public hearing and
Yep.
another vote.
For another official public hearing, and then also, we've included in here that the town council is going to do a site walk.
That's
at the
right.
same time,
Thank
so,
you.
yeah.
I'm happy to speak if you're
Okay,
ready.
go ahead.
Okay. I don't have prepared remarks. I kind of wish I did, but I wanted to listen to a lot of the comments that came tonight. It was mentioned earlier, the contract zone was turned down in February. I was one of the people that voted against the contract zone in February, both the full quarry and the partial quarry. What Phil hasn't experienced, what Councillor Gagnon hasn't experienced, I lack, and I certainly lacked at that time. I was 3 months on the council, I believe, at that point, and I think there's been a lot of information that flows from both sides that, especially at that time, it was really hard to disseminate what was true and what was fiction. I felt in February that if I voted no at that time, I could potentially vote yes in the future on something like this. If I voted yes, I could never vote no. I really felt that I needed more information. I needed to get a better understanding of the topic and what we were talking about. The email that former Councillor Pratt mentioned during his time, that did play in my mind in this discussion. That, from my point of view, I called for collaboration back in February. I wanted to find a way to move this forward, for us to come together, for the business to meet with the people to meet with the business, and let's find a path forward that we can work together to make this happen and get the aggregate that we need to continue to move this community in the direction that we've got to go as we progress. I am going to vote yes for this to move it forward. I know there's a lot more discussion to come in the next few months. And to Councilor Gagnon's point, we'll see what that bears. So, we're not committing to doing something tonight. We're going to talk about it again and again over the course of the next 60 days, and we certainly want to continue to hear from the public during that time. I have had, over the course of the last month, some pretty difficult conversations with Mr. Shaw. We've been open about things, we've expressed opinions about it, and I've been able to say things to him that he might not want to hear, and we talked through it. So I would encourage people to come to that meeting, to have those discussions, know that you'll have a chance to do that, and that he will treat you fairly. And at the end of the day, I think we've been able to shake hands and walk away, or to end in a cordial way every time we have had a conversation. So if you got things you want to do, present it in a polite way, and let's have that discussion and see where we can go.
Thank you.
All right. So I've struggled with this one. First time around when it was a contract zone, I know a lot of people had problems with the contract zone. When I ran for council 3 years ago, it was on a pro-business platform. So when this came to us and we were hashing it out, I was in favor of the compromise, which was basically like a partial expansion. So this is coming back to us as a partial expansion. And the way I see it on the map here, they're not crossing the dry creek bed to access the land on the other side. So I see that as a compromise too. We've heard concerns, lots of concerns. We've read your emails, we've spoken to you. In December, at an ordinance committee meeting, we sat in the room with a lot of you here, including representatives from the Department of Environmental Protection. Looking through the minutes here, and I'm happy to share this, you can go on the town's website. The meeting was December 12th, 2024, of the Ordinance Committee. Anything I'm reading from that discussion that ensued that day, there were no issues. DEP had no issues with this quarry. That wasn't enough. And I have to listen to the people who are giving me their concerns, right? So I had concerns. Maybe it isn't enough. So we tasked the town with inspecting the quarry. We have a report right here. All the councilors do. Everything is within code and ordinance, and all levels are below maximum rates. So because of this, and I'm pro-business, I'm going to support this. Do I think things can change and that conversation can happen? Absolutely, and I want it to happen. My personal thing with that is the heights of the gravel piles. I don't like seeing them from the road, but that's just me personally. Maybe that can come up during these meetings, but let's continue. Let's send this to planning board and continue the discussion.
Thank you.
So when the contract zone was first brought to us, before it even went to ordinance committee, I voted against it going to ordinance committee. And you can watch the tapes, watch the recordings if you want. I said my issue is not with the application. My issue is with this process. This should not be a contract zone. This should be a zone change. Now the applicant has come back with a zone change. Great, that's what I wanted to see. For all of the prior times on the council when we have had a business owner come to us and say, I own this abutting lot, I would like it included in this neighboring zone, we've allowed it. Every other time it's been very little conversation. Within the comprehensive plan, these zone lines are slightly changeable. And so this to me is the same as those other times, except for one large caveat, and that's, obviously this is a business where it is easier to have an impact on others, as we're talking about through dust, than a lot of other businesses. And, we have also at previous ordinance committee meetings, other councilors have brought up, we didn't allow laundromats, and we were talking about expanding allowable businesses because we were worried about, the smell that would come with. And so if we're concerned about the smell for the town, there's definitely things to add there. So I will also say that we're talking about all of the permitting and all of the regulations and everything, and I reached out to the state, obviously looked at the local, looked at all the regulations, and when I called the state and I was speaking to someone in DEP, and I said, can you point me to who's doing who's doing great quarry work, like who is a really good operation going on? And they said, you've got one right there. Like Shaw Brothers are doing it well. And so every time I've looked at every single rule, they seem to be, not just following it, but seem to be really passing it. We were talking way under levels. And I looked at every rule I could to see. However, I will say that government has sometimes over the years been slow to act on things that were actually harmful. I'm thinking about, lead, thinking about asbestos, and now we're talking about dust and, what is harmful and not harmful. So I'm also willing to consider us looking at the regulations for the quarries as well. I think that's a very important thing. So I see this works, and I have one question for the town manager and 2 questions for the applicant, if that's all right, Chair. Okay. Through the chair to the town manager, can we hire an expert? This is I heard that a lot in the public comment about hiring someone who specifically knows about quarries. Is that within our purview?
Thank you. Yes, I mean, the town council could hire, we do this all the time, and we hire consultants, outside assistants. The one thing I will say, though, is the conditions for the town of Gorham on operations for quarries are not always it's complicated as far as tracking everything, and it is time consuming, but it's not necessarily beyond the skill set of all of our employees. There are some specialized components. But as the council found, we did go out. We had a great site visit out there. It wasn't scripted. We've been encouraged to come back at a later date, unannounced, do the same thing. But a lot of the items that the town of Gorham permits and has required over the years for the various entities in town, we can inspect and we can look at. But yes, there are some special items that the town could, at any time, hire experts on.
Okay, thank you. And then I just have 2 questions for the applicant, if that's okay. And you can defer to your employees if you need to. So the first one, as I said, we've done this with previous lots, included them in zones, but I know that you own that greater zone. So are you just going to come back in 5 years and look to expand it again and again and again, or that's one of my concerns. Can you speak to that?
You mean on the remaining part of that land, you mean?
Yeah, basically, you own this lot right here, you just kind of...
Yes. No, so what we're trying to do here is to make a compromise. And we were going to do what the town, if the town wants us to, we'll look at a trailer park. We'll do something that is in keeping with the ordinance. But we will not come back for a quarry on that section if we get this section.
Understood. Thank you. And then my second question, so this came up during the initial conversation around the contract zone. There was a new DEP regulation that was being added and being discussed around dust leaving the property. Do you know the current state of that rule, and has that come up?
Maine Aggregate has been working with the DEP, and the DEP tells us they're going to get back to us. So we're waiting on them.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So as I said, I'm okay with this moving, but I would also like to see when this comes back to us, written confirmation from the state departments as well that they are in that there's no outstanding issues, they're within regulation, just so we have that on the record. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, just to help with Councillor Siegel there too, we could add training to some of our employees to be better situated with managing our quarries too. Not just hiring, but we could add some training that could bridge that. So.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll make a joke and I'll throw myself under the bus on this one. So I worked for the town of Gorham a long time ago, right out of college. And one item that I was sent to training for, and it was a whole day long training, and then I left to become a town manager, but was opacity training. So like, looking at smoke, looking at dust, and there's a whole day just learning about it. So I am no longer certified, and it's not something that I do, but there are specialty trainings that we may be able to send the code officers to and or lean on outside experts. So, but that being said, we still found very good results on site with the staff that we have, and we have a professional town engineer as well. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm agreeing with some or most of the comments that were said here, but I was in support and offered up the compromise of the smaller contract zone last time. I thought that might have been a good way to start a conversation with residents' concerns at that time. And now that this has come before us, I think that we still need to keep in line with meeting. And I think that, a meeting with the residents and obviously the applicant is very important. I think that needs to happen. I think that we can start the conversation. I can't guarantee that when this comes back to us that it's something that I would support changing the zone. It just depends on the process. Like some of you had said, so I think the process needs to start and get everybody in a room. I think we need to have the conversation. I think we need to be really involved in the conversation. The town council does, the site walk, things like that, and definitely encourage people to come out at the public hearings. And I appreciate all the comments that were made tonight. We were deciding whether or not, because this wasn't advertised, I want to be fair to everyone who did come out, but also be fair to the people who didn't think it was a public hearing. So, who probably are waiting for their chance to talk. So I don't think we need to rush this, like many of you had said, but this is a good way to start the process if everybody's willing to compromise and get in a room together. So, any other comments? Councilor Sims?
Just a couple other things that came up over the course of listening to everyone else. It's great that we've got a quarry here that is recognized as the best in the state. I say we need to lean into that and that doesn't mean we should just stop and everything we're doing now is the best it could ever be. There's always continuous improvement. We're always learning more about what we can do to mitigate health concerns. So let's keep working to make sure that we have the cleanest operations possible. I think, again, the town of Gorham has taken that duty on because we chose to allow this stuff to happen. Yes, and quarry operations are going to continue to exist, regardless of what the ordinances are, regardless of where we draw these zone lines. But I do think it's worth recognizing, again, the people that live near this thing, they are absorbing more. There are costs associated with it that people that don't live near it don't have to deal with. That's just a fact. And yes, we need quarries. Yes, we need pavement. Do we need as much pavement as we've been paving? No, actually we don't. Human civilization lasted for 10,000 years without nearly as much pavement as we now have. And sure, there were things that were worse back before there was pavement, but we're continuing to evolve our understanding of what we need. The more pavement we put out, that's liabilities that we have to maintain for eternity. So we need to be thinking too, like the costs associated with demanding more and more pavement are real, and they are going up. And we need to address that in how the type of growth we want to see for this town moving forward as well. So I'll stop there for now.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor of sending this to the planning board? Just to be clear, 6 yeas.
Item 2025-8-7, action to consider an amendment to the Land Use and Development Code to set a minimum amount of non-residential in a mixed-use building and mixed-use development in the South Gorham Commercial District. Admin sponsor. Wonder where.
Wait 1 second. Yeah, you just take a, just let the room clear. And I'll tell you when to. Yeah, you don't know.
MG. That's why I never keep my phone on my pocket. I've always probably provided.
Yep.
After he's like a couple months back.
Okay. Where's that?
It's towards the end.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I wouldn't.
All right, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Proposed order 2586, ordered that the town council forwards to the planning board for review and public hearing an amendment to the Land Use and Development Code to set a minimum amount of non-residential in a mixed-use building and mixed-use development in the South Gorham Commercial as follows. Section 125, South Gorham Commercial Corridor District, dimensional standards. Mixed-use building, a minimum of 50% of the gross floor shall be utilized for non-residential uses in a single-story structure. In a multi-story building, the first floor shall be utilized for non-residential uses, with all upper floors being allowed for either residential or non-residential uses. 9, mixed-use development, a minimum of 60% of the gross floor area shall be utilized for non-residential uses in a development to be considered a mixed-use development under this section. Notwithstanding the provisions of the subsection D, an auxiliary public utility structure is exempt from the minimum lot size and street frontage requirements of this district. Structures must meet setback requirements. Additional screening and buffering can be requested by the planning board.
Is there a motion?
Don't move.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
point at Corey before we
Yep.
continue. Do we have a map that shows where this? I couldn't find the map.
The commercial corridor district.
Yeah.
Should be by Tom, I think.
Normally we get maps. Squint, Tom.
That's Tom's personal one from home.
Yeah.
I think Ben can zoom in on it, hopefully.
It's the red
There we go.
section.
So the South Gorham Corridor District is that section of the overlap, that's the commercial, so.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember, the council hired North Star Planning to work with the council to draft 2 zones. One of them was South Gorham Crossroads, and then the first zone was South Gorham Corridor Commercial. So as part of South Gorham Crossroads, they identified the standards for mixed-use developments. Unfortunately, in the first zone, they didn't. So basically what we did is we went back to them and said, because we're starting to see development there, and it's not a clear standard of what that mixed use should be in the percentages. So we went back to North Star for recommendation on that, and that's what they wrote, and then we're just recommending go to the planning board and then comes back. It's consistent with the South Gorham Crossroads. The way the language is, it's just a slight change because this is showed to be more commercial than residential, so that's why it's a little bit higher than that zone.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas.
Item 2025-8-8, action to consider an amendment to the Land Use and Development Code to add indoor-outdoor recreation facilities and like and similar commercial and industrial permitted uses to Gorham's Industrial and Old Canal Industrial Districts. Ordinance Committee sponsor. Proposed Order 2587, order that the Town Council forwards to the Planning Board for review and public hearing amendments to the Land Use and Development Code to add indoor-outdoor recreation facilities and like and similar commercial and industrial permitted uses to Gorham's Roadside Commercial, Industrial, Mosher Corner Mixed Use, Old Canal Industrial, Agricultural Industrial, and South Gorham Crossroads District as follows.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
By Councilor Willis. All right. Oh, to waive the reading? Oh, sorry, yeah, we're going to waive the reading.
I'll make a motion to waive the
Yeah.
reading due to its length.
second.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was skipping right to the whole process. All right.
Lavoy here.
Yeah,
We
so,
didn't-
yeah, Council Lavoy just left the meeting. He had to leave, so now it'll be 5 of us. All right,
All those in favor of
waiving the reading? Yep. 5 yeas. All right, now a motion on the item.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Gagnon. All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Real quickly, this item, I think, originally started as looking at recreational uses for our more industrial areas, and as you can see in the specifics, it allows for indoor and outdoor recreational facilities as well as commercial food production.
Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? 5 yeas.
Item 2025, 8-9, action to consider updating the town's mobile home park ordinance. Councilor Sims sponsored. Proposed Order 2588, order that the town council instructs town staff to work with the ordinance committee to review Gorham's mobile home park ordinance, to consider restricting excessive increases in rent and fees, and ensuring landlords invest in proper maintenance of property infrastructure on a regular basis, and report back to the town council with recommendations.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Go ahead, Councilor Sims.
Thank you. So the existing ordinance is older than me. It hasn't been updated since 1987. One of the reasons we're looking at it now, it's an unfortunate development in recent years. A number of corporate investment firms have started sweeping up these mobile home park properties across our country. Some of the worst offenders have dramatically increased rents and predatory fee structures, literally bleeding the residents dry, while also neglecting even the most basic investments in upkeep of property grounds and infrastructure like access to running water. In my view, these are unacceptable practices, and so I feel strongly that this is something we need to review with our ordinance committee. We just created an affordable housing committee. We've recognized that there's a housing affordability crisis in Maine. And here in Gorham, if we want to attract more businesses and foster a more thriving economy, then we have to allow for housing of diverse income levels to exist in our town. We literally need more people that can work at the businesses we want to attract to our industrial park and our village. So that's why I sponsored this item, and I hope to have everybody's support to move it forward to ordinance committee. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I could open this up to public comment, even though there's only 3 people in the room. I will, especially if you need to talk one more time
Well, I'm
tonight.
just trying to keep that streak alive. I know you
I
guys
know.
miss me, Mark Curtis. Councilor Sims, I greatly appreciate how this comes about. And I just want to add to the conversation, if it's going to go forward, being in a business that, separately from other day job, there are certain costs you can control, certain costs you can't control. And I understand the profit motive of the big, greedy, multinational corporation. I get that. But having done some work for some of the local mobile home parks, it's hard to squeak by with what they're doing. So, and as we've seen recently, taxes in Gorham have gone up. And again, not particularly picking on that, but on one side of the coin, if the council is choosing to limit the ability for a business to raise rates where they see necessary, but then also driving a cost, I guess my comment would simply be this. I will wholeheartedly support, not that you need my support for any of this, but I would wholeheartedly support what you're asking for if on the same side of that coin, you guys will commit to not raising taxes. And that's the hard part about it, right? And I appreciate that you get the humor in that, because there are things, as a landlord, I manage 40 properties, and so you could call up any tenant I've ever talked with. Listen, I don't want to go up on the rent. I'm only going to go up on the rent if our costs go up. And one of the costs that I can't control, insurance and taxes. Can't control either one of those, have anything to do with it. And when the taxes go up, the rent goes up. So that's the type of thing. And really, to get somebody to make an investment in a mobile home park, because we have a few around town, there are some very good examples and there are some somewhat not so good examples. But to make an investment, it takes money. And to get the investment in, as you know, because I think that's kind of part of your day job, right? To drive capital where it's needed, you need to put the money in, but you need to have the ability to draw that money back out in some way. I think it's a great conversation to have, but I think that there's definitely parts of that that need to be considered all the way through. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just say in response. Generally makes sense to me. Let's have the conversation, and I think there's ways to put some reasonable guardrails in place and still very much adhere to some of the concerns raised there. And by all means, everything we can do to reduce the tax increases helps us make the housing more affordable. And there's a bunch of other things we can do to make the housing more affordable that we got to keep working on for sure. So we'll work on it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor Gagnon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm generally supportive of ensuring that people aren't getting taken advantage of or are being forced out of their homes. However, with this one, ensuring landlords invest in proper maintenance of property infrastructure on a regular basis, I don't see how that's enforceable. I don't even know how we would begin, I guess, policing, and that's what we would be doing with code enforcement, going to the facilities and, looking at the state of things. I mean, I get it. I say let the market determine rents, and I do not like large corporations buying up large tracts of land. It does not sit right with me. I think it's an artificial inflation and is causing a crisis. I think Councillor Sims and I agree on that part. It's, and I won't say the name of the corporation that I think is buying a lot of the land, but I don't see how we can enforce a lot of this stuff. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the comments, and I totally welcome that as part of the discussion. I'm not committed to any specific thing, but I just in efforts to try to be as specific as possible in the language of this action to move forward to ordinance committee for further consideration. We're not committing to some specific requirement there, but we're just going to look at it.
Councillor Sims, I appreciate you being specific because I know it's usually me that asks for specific action, so I appreciate that. But I would agree, I mean, looking at the mobile home park ordinance, because it was so old, is also something probably that's pretty important to do anyways. So whatever comes out of that discussion, we can talk about that when it comes out.
Cool.
Go ahead.
That was going to be my exact comment, that I'm probably going to support anything that means we're cracking open an ordinance that was 40 years old. So it's worth looking at.
Yeah. All right. Okay, all those in favor? 5 yeas.
Item 2025, 8-10, action to consider dissolving a contract zone on map 4, lot 9 and 9.004, and map 6, lot 31, Councilor Willis sponsored. Proposed order 2589, ordered that the town council forward to the planning board for public hearing and recommendation dissolving the contract zone on map 4, lot 9 and 9.004, and map 6, lot 31 at the request of the property owners.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I think we all got information, but I don't know if you have.
I'm going to read the second paragraph of the town manager's notes into the record here, that the council is now seeing a frequent desire to remove many of these South Gorham contract zones that were originally created years before. Newer and more commercially friendly zoning came online to match the town's comprehensive plan. I thought he summed it up very nicely right there. I think I have another one coming next month. So we've seen a lot in this area that want to move into the underlying zoning. I personally fully support that, and certainly I know the applicant is not here this evening, but if anybody has any questions for Mr. Boyer or myself, feel free.
Tom, do you want to talk, or are you just standing for questions?
How about quickly? So what I would do is forward this and then forward anybody else in South Gorham that has a contract zone that wants to rescind it, and staff can reach out to all of them and we can get them all. Everybody who wants them rescinded, we'll just do it with one public hearing for everybody. So instead of keep going back, why don't we forward this and then have staff reach out to all the other South Gorham contract zones and see if anybody else wants to be removed. I know a certain farm stand in South Gorham was the contract zone wants to move forward, and he's been hemming and hawing. So
Yep.
I think we just put them all together and just do it all at once.
Do you need us to amend this?
Thank you. I don't think you need to amend it, but as long as the council understands that because we're seeing this, and obviously the council is very much aware, the zoning is better now. The contract zones have served their useful life. It's up to the property owner. Happy to reach
Right.
out to all of them and see if we can get kind of a bundle for the council. But I would move this one forward.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councilor Gagnon.
I try to remain consistent in my, we were promised money to cover the cost of these contract zones.
Yeah.
I don't like giving freebies out when we used a lot of staff time and resources. And I believe Tom was one of them that came to the council meetings and said, this should happen, that this will lead to development, and it didn't. So now we used all that for nothing. So I guess while I have the pulpit, I will say, let's take our time going forward when we're looking at zoning and our changes so that it's not creating this 15 years later issue where people don't want it now, but it cost us however much it did. And I believe the fees in that are still there. It's thousands of dollars. So.
Any comments?
I just, to this point, I feel like, yes, when you go for a contract zone, you're agreeing to something real long-term. My understanding is, my personal opinion, this was kind of a poor use of contract zones, but the only tool they had at the time because they knew that the South Gorham zoning was going to change, but obviously it took a long time to get there. Like, in the past 3 years was when we made the actual zone changes. So I think it seems like the decision of 15 years ago is just, all right, we'll do these contract zones because that's a quicker way to get you into the zoning that we know we want to do here. And so I'm more amenable to not worrying about the fee for this, but other contract zones, I would like to, yes, make sure we get that fee from. But for the South Gorham, yeah, let's just deal with all of these in one kind of foul swoop, and then any others, worry about that.
Race to get rich, right? That's what it was.
So unfortunately, Councilor Gagnon and I were on the council at the time that these were all coming forward. My first council meeting, however long ago that was probably to approve this contract zone. I don't even know. And there was an immediate vote like afterwards or before or something on the same meeting to talk about rezoning South Gorham, period. And the council voted not to. Probably Councilor Gagnon and I said, yeah, let's do it. We see all these contract zones, but it didn't happen. So then, so this was a way for everybody to say, well, I want what my neighbor has and things like that. So that's how that came about was, well, if they can do that, I want to be able to do that. And then it trickled down the road. So if these people don't want this anymore, and some of these people probably are looking to obviously sell their land and do other things. So it does make sense to lump them all together if that works out for staff. More staff time, unfortunately, but so.
I think you're saying we're old, Susie.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Any other comments?
Just one more plug for you can rent it from the Baxter Library, Arbitrary Lines. The author's Nolan Gray. It's a very interesting read, and it's very relevant to what we're talking about here. But just the question of the fees. We collected fees up front when they applied for the contract zone. Are there still?
So there's a different way to do it then and now. Correct, Tom? Does that make
We started charging fees after too many people brought them forward. Is that what happened?
No. So at the time, the council gave a waiver to paying of the fee until they go forward with site plan approval.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot of people thought that these were going to, well, as soon as they got them, their property would be more valuable and they could trade them over for commercial uses, and that did not bear fruit. So they are now looking, we've gone through the comp plan process. We've identified the South Gorham Corridor commercial, and then people are starting to see the benefit of that new zone. And for a plug for staff time, it is a lot of time if we're going to look up a contract zone for each parcel to see what the uses are. If we have one zone, we don't have to go through the contract. There is time savings for employees that we don't have to look up contract zones. So we're a little selfish here too. That's why I threw it out there. Let's get rid of all of them that we can, just to save staff time every time one of these comes up to look at.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the lots are not evenly formatted. Some are oddly shaped, and so I believe at the time everybody wanted in because somebody could just come in and buy them all together to make one large lot. Yeah.
All right. All those in favor? 5 yeas.
Item 2025, 8-11, action to consider forwarding a contract zone to the planning board to address a utility issue. Councilor Willis sponsored. Proposed Order 2590, ordered that the Town Council forward to the planning board a proposed contract zone for map 32, lot 24, to allow the owner of the lot to develop a mixed-use structure, provide the lot will comply with the state of Maine's subsurface requirements, and that once a gravity public sewer main has been installed in Main Street, the lot owners will have 90 days to connect into the public sewer system.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Councilor Siegel. Councilor Willis or the town manager?
I'm happy to speak to it to begin with. So now that we've talked about dissolving a contract zone, we thought we should add a contract zone to eat up some more staff time. So apologies, Director Boyer. So this is a lot down on Mosier Road, Mosier Corner there. It's in non-conforming lot, and I'm looking at Tom as I say that, but there's some challenges with the lot, and there's not there's not sewer directly available for this lot. So for them to build a mixed-use structure, which they would need to build on the lot, they would be required to hook up to sewer. They cannot do that without the infrastructure in place. They would like to move forward with a plan, not knowing the timeline for when sewer may be available in that location. And so to do so, they would need to put a septic in. And this came from staff's recommendation, I believe, to do a contract zone to allow them to do a septic. That they are agreeable to hook up to sewer basically as soon as that becomes available, if and when that does happen.
So, Tom, I do have a question of you. That this is the sole purpose of this contract zone is just to allow them to do their own septic, correct?
Correct. So Councilor Willis spoke to it. So the 2 owners ago created this lot that didn't meet zoning then, doesn't meet zoning now, without public sewer. So and the distance to extend it is a lot for one applicant to bear out. So the only thought that we could have is if the council, again, we don't know how long Main Street sewer is, but should it be pretty quick that this applicant would tie in earlier? But if it's out next year or a year and a half, then they would look to put this septic system in and then provide. So we did do a zone amendment for mixed-use development. They're looking to do like retail commercial on the first floor and then a residential unit above it. Again, because it doesn't have sewer, they're very limited on how much, I think, uses they can have on the site, and that goes to that mixed use. So if the council is looking for mixed use, public utilities is extremely important to have that bear fruit. So, and with that, I answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Yep. Councilor Siegel, go ahead.
Through you to Director Poirier here. With this contract zone, would they still pay the impact fee when they tie into the public sewer? If we, assuming we extend the sewer and do an impact fee as we typically do, they would still do that even with this contract zone?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I can just make sure that we can put that language in the contract zone just to make it ironclad.
Thank you. A question for Tom. Could we write the contract zone that at such a time as it's connected to public sewer, the contract zone is discontinued and dissolved?
I don't, it's got to go through a public hearing process. So I guess that we could put, what I would rather see in there is that the council has the option to move forward with removing the contract zone instead of and then just tie it that we're going to do it without the applicant or with them. So I think we can do something like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, that makes sense. Any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Councilor Gagnon.
Madam Chair, I will not be supporting the contract zone only because it's a non-conforming use to a standard that we don't know if we're going to do sewer or not. And we should wait and hold off until it's allowed or not allowed. So.
Anyone else? All right, all those in favor? 4 yeas, all those opposed? Councilor Gagnon.
Item 2025-8-12, action to accept the resignation of Chris Kelly from the GEDC, administrative sponsor. Proposed Order 2591, order that the Town Council accept the resignation of Chris Kelly from the GEDC, and be it further ordered that the Council thanks Chris for her many years of service on the GEDC.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Sims. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Willis.
Second.
All right. I just want to thank Chris Kelly. I think he's getting close he's about missing the mark for being on the GEDC for 10 years. So just really want to thank Chris for his time that he put in to that board. He was really instrumental in kind of moving them along when he took on the leadership position in that committee. So thank you very much to Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll just add similar thanks. In addition to his great work on the GEDC, he also participated with our Fiscal Sustainability Committee for the last year and a half, which was a significant time commitment. Working with him directly over that, just really valued his approach. He listens to everyone's opinions, and he provides thoughtful input, and he clearly has the town's best interests in mind. So really appreciate all the work he's done.
Thank you.
I just look forward to seeing the next endeavor he takes on to help the town.
Thank you. All those in favor? 5 yeas.
2025-8-13, action to appoint a person to the GEDC with his term to expire April 1st, 2027, administrative sponsor. Proposed Order 2592, order that the Town Council appoint David Golden to the GEDC with his term to expire April 1st, 2027.
Motion?
Motion. So moved.
Councilor Segal, is there a second? Second. It's pretty self-explanatory, so congratulations and welcome to David Golden for the GEDC. Have you already told him he's on it?
Not yet.
Okay, well, he'll know now. All right, all those, no discussion? You're all set? All right, all those in favor? 5 yeas.
Item 2025-8-14, action to approve a poverty abatement, administrative sponsor. Proposed Order 2593, order that the Town Council approves a poverty abatement application as recommended by General Assistant Staff and dated July 24th, 2025.
Is there a motion? Okay, all right. No motion, item fails. Okay.
Item 2025-8-15, action to consider sending the solid waste flow ordinance to the Ordinance Committee for update and review. Councilor Segal, sponsor. Proposed Order 2594, order that the Town Council instructs the Ordinance Committee to review and propose updates to the solid waste flow ordinance.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Willis. Go ahead.
Thank you. It was brought to my attention by a resident in town that with the removal of the silver bullets, we have made it difficult or impossible for people who live in multi-unit buildings to be able to recycle. And so I think that's something that we should address, as well as we will need to make changes to the solid waste ordinance for the mechanical arm trucks when they begin in roughly 1 year. So just kind of getting ahead of things, as well as fixing an issue that we caused by removing the silver bullets. So that's why I want to bring it to ordinance.
Thank you. Any comments? Councilor Gagnon?
Yeah, no, I'm supportive. I think that we could explore things like a transfer station or other things that I've always advocated for. So, I applaud Councilor Segal's recycling and adding things that improve the quality of how we do away with our waste and things like that.
Thank you. Any other comments, Councilor Sims?
Yeah, also supportive, and I just quickly recognize, we did get some input from residents of the town in response to the action we took with the current budget. Obviously, we doing everything we can to try to run the town as efficiently and as cost effectively as possible. Recognizing here, there's got to be some sort of middle ground here. Perhaps we can find some sort of way to address some of the concerns without incurring too much additional cost.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And one critical part, and Public Works has worked on this, while this is at the Ordinance Committee, this ordinance needs to be overhauled for mechanical arm collection. And it has to happen. There's not a rush to do that because we're not looking until probably a year and a half from now in implementation. But the whole structure, tags system, all that needs to be overhauled and changed on how we do it. So we'll be looking at that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I would agree that it needs to be looked at, obviously, for the reasons that you just stated. I was speaking with one of the people that works in sustainability in South Portland, and they have a lot more apartments and things like that than we do, and they don't require it right now. They were looking at just more creative ways because they get a lot of pushback from landlords and things like that were saying, okay, so I have to now pay for this and things like that. So I can give you our contact information and just more creative ways to take care of that. So. All right. All those in favor? 5 yeas. Anybody want a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? All right. Good night.